Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pickleball and Politics, where I combine my quest to stay out of the kitchen with my passion for politics. So, a town had so much complaints about all the noise that the pickleball and the pickleball courts were causing that the town erected big, high, 10-foot sound panels, like you get on the side of the highway, around the pickleball court. And guess what? Everybody's overheating inside because there's no ventilation and they're like dying of heat stroke. So once again, pickleball is having all sorts of growing pains, and we're going to figure this out sooner or later, how the noise doesn't affect the neighbors. So another week, and I found myself at another a Republican hopeful town hall type of rally, get-together, appearance. Once again, this time again by Vivek Ramaswamy. This is the third time I've seen him. I can't imagine I'm going to see him again unless I just happen to be 5 minutes from where he's going to be, like this past weekend. He was in Hampton, New Hampshire at the Victoria Inn on Friday night. And as I said, I've seen him 3 times now. And boy, oh boy, has this campaign changed. What a change in a campaign since I saw him in July. I thought, wow, a lot of energy, cool guy. Hey, good for him. Second time, I'm like, wow, he's got a lot of people showing up here at Scott Brown's No BS Backyard Barbecue. And now this time, he was at the Victoria Inn, hundreds and hundreds of people. This campaign has completely changed. They are far more professional. The equipment is professional. The lighting is all professional. The flags, the podium, the check-in, much more organized. He has a lot of energy around his campaign. He has a lot of young people. I will say they're very media savvy. They're very high-tech, as he is. And you can see there's a lot of growth in this in this campaign. And a lot of times as excuse me, my throat's dry all of a sudden. A lot of times as a campaign revs up and is starting to get some popularity, they have growing pains. I'm sure that this campaign will be no different. But there's a lot of energy. They're young, and you can see that they're much more organized than they have been before. So Vivek came in. Vivek is full of energy. I'm going to tell you, I've seen him 3 times. I think different of him every single time I see him. I came away this time saying, wow, he's really, really smart. Now, I happen to be one of those people that don't believe smart necessarily means you're intelligent or have common sense. I'm saying he's very smart and he can think on his feet. He is quick. So he came in, he gave his, 10 truths that we've talked about before. And then he took some questions. The first one was about the Second Amendment. And he said he supported the Second Amendment because it protects the First Amendment. Okay. He also took a question on cleaning the food supply and how we need to get all of these additives out of our food supply. He talked about fentanyl was a bioweapon when somebody asked about the opiate and fentanyl problem in New Hampshire. He said he wanted mass layoffs of all the ABC agencies as soon as he got in, and if that he could only be there for 8 terms, they should only be there. If he could only be there for 2 terms, 8 years, they should only be there for 8 years. He wants nuclear energy to grow. I happen to believe and support that. He said he will never send kids to a senseless war. He says we need to, somebody asked about Taiwan, and he said we need to get semiconductors made over here. Without them, we are screwed, which we all know. He said men need to become responsible for their children. He said in an age of DNAs, there's no reason why we shouldn't know who every single person's father is. He said when people aren't allowed to speak, they scream. And when they're not allowed to scream, they tear stuff down. And I can't tell you if he was talking about BLM or if he was talking about J6. But in J6, nobody was listening. I think I know so many conservatives who don't feel like we're being heard. And that is why sometimes we got to scream because nobody's listening to us. He talked about how we must end Russia's alliance with China. And he also said we need to get India much more into all of these world affairs and that no one could bring India to the table like he could. Well, of course, his name's Vivek Ramaswamy. I asked a question, and my question was, how can I support you after seeing on Morning Joe this past week that you asked the Reverend Al Sharpton why you should vote for him as opposed to John Kerry or John Edwards? I said, as a lifetime conservative, who even in college voted for Ronald Reagan, how can I trust you that you won't be another typical rhino Republican who will turn on the conservative movement in a minute as soon as you're elected? And he said he was going to be an independent patriot versus a party puppy or party puppet. I think he said party puppet. I wrote down he said party puppy, but it could have been that there was a dog there at the event that kept on barking. I'll say that. The entire energy around Vivek is electrifying in that he's young and he has a lot of energy. There's something about his campaign that does remind me of seeing Barack Obama. I don't know how many years ago, 07. It was a long time ago, right? He came in with the same kind of energy, young, trim, tall, unknown. But at least Barack Obama, we kind of had some idea of what he'd been up to. He'd already been in the Senate. Vivek is a self-made millionaire, and he's got a bunch of bioscience companies. I don't think he's ready to be president of the United States by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe in the future. I had a reporter come up to me afterwards and ask me, would I vote for him after I've seen him? And I said, I've seen him 3 times now, and I don't plan on voting for him. I plan on staying on the Trump train until it gets to the final destination. I said, I'm staying Trump. And they said, you're here, but you're going to support Trump? And I said, everybody around me here is supporting Trump. I talked to all of these people. They're all Trump supporters. The gentleman beside me said that he'd love to see Vivek be the VP nominee. And I think that depends on where Vivek wants his future to be. I don't know if he's looking for the next year, for 4 years from now, for 8 years from now. I don't know where his goal is. I mean, I'm sure if you asked him, he wants to be president of the United States now. Does he think he will be president of the United States right now? I don't know. I feel there's a little bit of testing waters with him. I do. He did say that he didn't believe that the Democratic Party would allow him to be the nominee versus Joe Biden, and that if he was the nominee, then probably Gavin Newsom would be the Democratic candidate. And I said that a while ago. I still think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. I don't think it's going to be Joe Biden at all. I'll be shocked if come November next year, Joe Biden's on the ticket. I just will. And anyways, it's great fun going to these things. I will say that this campaign has changed a lot in the 2 months since I've seen him. Now 3 times. I saw him in July, I saw him in August, I saw him in September. And I got to tell you, it's growing. His movement is getting bigger. People know how to say his name. And he does have tremendous energy, and he is super, super smart. I just don't think he's ready for prime time yet, but only time will tell, right? He is a great debater, and he has an answer for everything, and he doesn't have to think about it. It is just boom, 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 especially when people are asking him questions. it was interesting. I don't know who I'm going to see next, but I'll be going to see someone else, because this is the hot time to be going to New Hampshire and to see all of these presidential candidates. So I end every episode with the dink of the day. And I'm going to say the dink of the day this week with the people who are obviously Democrats, okay, who kept on going by the Vivek rally, town hall appearance the other night, screaming all kinds of profanities. We weren't too far from the road, and they were screaming all sorts of stuff as they drove by. There was no protesters outside or anything like that, but there were cars going by constantly, doing all kinds of swear words and whatever. Whatever makes you happy. It's a free country, right? We still have free speech. So if you'd like to subscribe, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pickleball and Politics. You can reach me on Getter or Instagram at Pickleball and Politics. You can go to Twitter, Pickle and Paul, or you can go to my website, pickleballandpolitics.com. Until next time, I'll see you soon. All right. Have a great time. Have a great weekend. God bless America.